I'm Shannon Green with At Chronic Pain Austin, which is my Facebook page. Today I want to talk about my story and diagnosis of the PNES seizures, which stands for Psychogenic Non-Epileptic Seizures. They are called many different things besides PNES. Psychogenic seizures, pseudo seizures, FMD, which is functional movement type of seizures. So they've got a lot of names. A conversion disorder is the other name, which I like to call it that, because what's really going on is you're converting mental anguish into physical pain, and that manifests itself differently in each person. I was diagnosed with the PNES seizures. They started right after I had Guillain-Barre Syndrome. We'll call it GBS because it's hard to say. I was hospitalized for GBS back in 2014, coming up on my 5-year anniversary from that diagnosis. Which, if you watch any of my videos about GBS and chronic pain, has been a journey, a very, very difficult journey. But I am blessed to still be here and still breathing, and someday still being able to walk. But what I want to talk about with the PNES seizures, even though I was diagnosed in 2014, I have had anxiety and depression my whole life. I just didn't realize how bad it was. As a kid, it manifested itself as extreme shyness, trouble in crowds, any group settings where there was a lot of people always made me uncomfortable. A lot of eye twitching, wringing of hands, shaky hands, that sort of things are some of the first signs of anxiety for a lot of people. In my case, I remember that about age 8. I had a very traumatic experience at age 8 that I had blocked out and have only recently remembered in therapy. My LPC, my licensed professional counselor, she did a technique called EMDR, which I will put in the link below. It stands for like eye desensitization and reprocessing. Some therapists do it completely with the eye movement. My particular LPC, she had a little electronic device where I would hold some electrodes, and she would turn a little knob and send pulses to those electrodes, which give you the tapping sensation back and forth and back and forth, which many people have also tried tapping, which that'll be another video, EFT type of training where you do tapping on meridian points. But anyway, the EMDR simulated kind of the tapping. What it does is it helps your brain reprocess information that has been either too traumatic to deal with or blocked out completely, as in my case, I blocked it out completely. So I highly recommend EMDR. It's a very inexpensive treatment. You usually can see an improvement after 1 or 2 visits. In my case, I had 3 visits, and after just 3 one-hour EMDR sessions, I was able to process the trauma that happened, my childhood trauma. So I highly recommend it because it's such a affordable option for people dealing with mental illness. In many cases, it is used for people that have PTSD or unresolved trauma, in which my case I had both. But even if you don't necessarily have PTSD, I still think it is a very helpful form of therapy to help train your brain to reprocess information differently. And thus you're thinking about things differently, and your thoughts began to be deeper and more focused. So real quick, I made other videos about EMDR, so I won't spend any more time on that. The other thing that has helped me is called brain spotting. And brain spotting is so easy, cheap, and affordable. Many times I can't drive because of my seizures, so I do video conferencing with my therapist, my LPC, and she has an old-fashioned pointer stick. It's a metal stick with a little red knob on the end of it. And on the camera, she will move it left and right till I find a focus point that really helps me concentrate. So you just kind of move your eyes left and right till you find that point, which can be different on different people. But the point is, you get your eyes to focus, and that can somehow teach your brain to focus and managing the speed and the quality of the thoughts that are coming in. Now, I'm no psychiatrist or doctor, so I'm sure that's not a scientific explanation, but that's how I perceived it and how it was explained to me. So brain spotting, EMDR, I'm very excited about these treatments. Unfortunately, they're pretty new in practice, so they're not used very often. So if you're interested in these, when you Google a psychiatrist or a counselor, be sure to ask their office if they do EMDR or brain spotting. So that's something to ask for. It's usually done by an LPC, but some are LCSWs, licensed social worker, I believe. And there might be some psychiatrists that do it as well, but you don't necessarily have to have a PhD doctor do the EMDR. So again, I highly recommend those. So I've been doing talk therapy every single week with the same therapist that does the EMDR, which I highly recommend because they know a lot of your history. But there are some people, some cases where you just want to go in and do EMDR. And as many of us know, it's hard to get in to a psychiatrist's office or even LPCs these days. There's just not enough doctors and counselors. So many times you have to be on a waiting list, maybe have to have a long drive. So now I'm excited that you can have video counseling sessions, so you don't have to leave your house. So I use Zoom, which is an app you can put on your phone. Super easy to use. Highly recommend Zoom. There's other ones, Marco Polo. Facebook has FaceTime with the Apple phones. So also there's a lot of online therapy courses that you can take as well if driving isn't an option. So the last thing I will cover is, how do I live with the PNES seizures? It's the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with. Honestly, the Guillain-Barre might have been easier than the PNES seizures because I have them every single day. I have them in my sleep. Now, I've learned through meditation and yoga that I can slow them down, or on some good days where there's a lot of sunshine and I've done all my yoga, my meditation, I might not have a seizure, but for the majority, 80% of the month, I'm having seizures every day. So I'm really trying to make myself do the meditation twice a day, which I highly recommend for anyone. Just turning off your electronics and turning yourself off from the world and just sit with some quiet time is so important. So those, I like those because those are free, just to turn off the TV or turn off your phone and just sit there. And if you can do it outside where you get some vitamin D sunshine. The only medication I take for the PNES is hydroxyzine, which is also called Vistaril. It's an old school it's in the Benadryl family. I meant to say antihistamine. It's an old school antihistamine. It's been around for a long, long time. So it has very minor side effects. So I use that. My psychiatrist does not want me to take Ativan or Xanax or any Valium, any of those other classes of drugs. He says the long-term side effects, let's say, for example, he said Xanax can cause dementia and some other bad side effects. So, plus, he challenges me. He says, I think you can manage your symptoms with self-soothing techniques and skills that you're learning. I think you can do that, and I really want you to use your coping skills instead of just relying on a pill. So, on good days, I agree with him that I have enough coping skills, and I'm scrappy that I can, and I believe that I can live with this condition. But on bad days, when it's rainy and cold outside, like last week, I thought, oh, I won't lie, I was wanting a Xanax or an Ativan. I was like, something, just take me out of this pain. So luckily, I only have 2 or 3 of those really bad days on a monthly basis. The majority of the month, I'm able to lead somewhat of a normal life. I'm still having trouble driving, so I try to only drive in locations that are near my house. And I know that bothers some people, because with seizures, you're not supposed to drive. But I know if I'm going to have a seizure before I leave the house, because these are non-epileptic. So my warning signs are twitching of my right eye, and my face will feel kind of numb and tingly. So most of the time I have good warning on when they're about to come upon me. And I'm not saying this is a good solution or something I should continue, but that's what I've been doing. I've also been taking Uber and Lyft, and then also my husband drives me lots of places and drops me off as well, so that I'm not driving in Austin, in a big city with a lot of traffic. I'm really trying to minimize those situations. So that's how I deal with having the PNES seizures. The number 1, hydroxyzine. Number 2, meditation. Number 3, yoga. Number 4, deep breathing exercises. Specifically measured count breathing, where you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale through your nose for 4. All of those are really, really helpful. The hard part is making yourself do those coping skills when you're having a really bad day and you're depressed and in a lot of pain. So sometimes it is easier said than done. But I know if I really stick with those coping skills and have a daily intention and a daily set schedule to perform those coping skills, life is a lot easier. So I'm going to end this video with saying please like and share my videos. I'm at Chronic Pain Austin. Thank you, and have a blessed day.